Hello and welcome to A Day with the Car Driver. Hello.
I'm Day.
Oh, I'm Scamp. You beat me to it.
Yeah, well, I was trying to.
I believe we are going, with this one, we will be
Can you math?
4/5 of the way through the year? Through the whole decade?
Okay.
Wow.
Time flies.
Anyway, this is going to be another short one because I think, the summer season was also quite a short podcast.
Oh, yes.
This one's going to be pretty short too. Unless we spend like 20 minutes talking about this first one, which we almost probably could.
Land of the Lustrous.
Land of the Lustrous.
Or Hoseki no Kuni, which meant that when people were like HNK, I was like, wait, I know what that is. It's something else. Something else is HNK.
No, it's the one...
No, I know what you mean, but there's also an HNK, but I don't remember what it is.
The one that always confuses me is SNK.
Yes, because I'm like, oh yes, of course.
I love...
Chun-Li.
I love Chun-Li. and then it's like, oh, you're talking about Shingeki no Kyojin.
Not dem ties. Anyway,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't think. Anyway,
But
so Land of the Lustrous.
Land of the Lustrous is the most unique anime of the entire decade. Like, it is so... Even describing it, you just sound like you're on a fever dream. It is on an island. There are a bunch of crystal beings, androgynous crystal beings, made out of like gemstones. Like when they walk into each other, they make clonk noises. It's really weird.
Yeah, and sometimes, if someone's of a higher hardness than the other, they walk into each other and someone breaks.
Yes.
And has to be repaired. But they're around and they are fighting these invading other beings that they call Lunarians.
Yes.
Who are these... Well, they all look like they've been filched from Hinduism and Buddhism. And they're otherworldly beings, and supposedly they're from the moon, although there's no obvious reason why this is supposed to be the case in the early going.
Because you don't see them fly down from the moon. Instead, they travel via Rosarch tests in the sky.
Yeah, they come out of ink blots, and they are trying to steal the crystal beings, the gems, so that they can use them as jewelry.
Basically, yeah.
And also there's a Buddhist monk.
Who's also a gem, I think.
Well, it's... you don't know what he is.
No, you have no idea what...
He's mysterious. When he does come into battle, it's pretty clear he's very strong, but he doesn't get involved actively that often. And he runs what they're calling a school, although there's no reason to actually see it as a school, because it's not like they're doing classes or anything.
No.
It's just, the world it takes place in is incredibly unlike our own.
It's unlike anything. You can't compare it to anything. Like, at one point there's the main character, Phosphorus, I think she is. No, what is she? No, Phosphorus is something entirely different.
Phospholite,
the green.
which is this kind of aquamarine colored mineral.
She's kind of a dope.
Yeah, she's trying to find her own place in the world, but she's also lazy, not particularly bright. She wants something that's easy, but she gets bored very easily. She's given the task of she wants to fight. Yes. But she's a very
brittle.
Well, on the Morse hardness scale, phospholite has a very low hardness level. It's like 3.5, I think. It goes up to, the hardest substance is diamond.
Which is 10, so yeah.
And she wants to fight, but they're like, look, you can't. You come apart too easily. Also, you're lazy, so you don't want to actually work to improve. And it starts with her, you're going to make an encyclopedia. And she isn't really interested in making an encyclopedia. So early on, it's her wandering around not doing what she's supposed to be doing and getting into, that starts her out on her journey toward becoming a... strong independent gem. Yes. I'm hesitating to say better being because by the end of the show, that's not really the direction things are going in.
No, because a lot of
they get stronger, but it's also but at what cost type thing. Because in various Fuss gets involved in a lot of stupid stuff. Early on, Fuss gets eaten by a giant. Was it a snail?
I think it was it was a snail, wasn't it?
It gets eaten by a giant snail, and they do manage to get Fuss loose, but then Fuss can talk to snails. Because the only other form of life on the planet is some sea creatures who are basically these slug, blobby things.
Yeah. And there's one episode where Fuss just walks halfway, several miles underwater. There's God, it's such a weird world that they're in. And then in the winter time, they all go into hibernation.
Except for a special gem,
Antarcticite.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's how it's pronounced.
There's a bit more male.
Some of these are some of the gems, the names that are used in English, I don't actually know how to pronounce.
No.
Some of them are they're ones that even I hadn't heard of.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I loved rocks. I really fucking love rocks. I still do. I just have to do a better job of not picking them up and bringing them home.
And then there's the other super important detail about Land of the Lustrous, which is it was, in my opinion, and many others, the first good-looking CG anime. There is it's partly because it is so weird that it works.
It's basically one of the ones where you actually look at it and you're like, this show is better because you used this 3D CG animation. Because it adds to it rather than just being like, well, these things look kind of funkadelic.
Yeah.
This is distracting. Instead, it feels like it was made for a specific story purpose rather than because it was something they could do.
Exactly.
If that makes sense. Because the characters are not human to begin with, there's less of the looking at them and going, there's something slightly off about this person. So, I loved this show. I think this was my favorite show of 2017.
Yeah.
Because I really loved... Made in Abyss was incredible, and it was really good, but I liked Land of the Lustrous better.
Not saying a lot.
It's probably never going to get a sequel.
It's sold, though.
It's sold decently. The manga, though, I think is very slow serialization. Because I know Volume 9 just came out in English. And it is not a case where we're that far behind.
How many volumes did the manga cover? How many volumes did the anime cover?
Oh, God.
4? It wasn't very many.
4 or 5? It's hard for me to remember because it's been a while since I've read the earlier volumes.
Yeah.
I still haven't read the latest because I'm a stupid weenie.
So there's something that, because I've read a bit of the manga, but you've got them all. They've got incredible covers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. This show doesn't get to the point where it's becoming... There's definitely... If Made in Abyss is ultimately hopeful, I don't know if Land of the Lustrous is.
I kind of agree with you.
Because there's definitely some existential horror going on, but it's nothing overt. You have to... I think you could watch this and just watch it at a surface level and not, come across that undercurrent. I think you'd have to be watching it pretty superficially, but I do think it's possible.
I think the first 3/4 of the show you can get that, but I think the last quarter is Fos comes out of that a changed person. She is not she can't smile anymore.
The author's been pretty explicit about the fact that they don't have
genders. Yeah, some are definitely coded more male. Like I said, Antarcticite is definitely coded more male.
Yellow Diamond is coded a bit more male.
Yeah, and then there's Diamond, regular Diamond is coded very female.
Yeah. But the author's also been fairly emphatic that no, they don't have genders.
Yes. Fine butts, though. It also has, like, part of the reason why the CG works is because the directing is incredible. There's some shots of here where it's like, oh wow, you guys really liked Jurassic Park, didn't you? Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, there's a chase later in the show that it was pure Jurassic Park.
Yeah. It's an incredible little show.
Although no quivering glasses of water as far as I recall.
It's the Velociraptor scene in Jurassic Park, they do that. It's... Oh, this
is a really good show.
Yeah. And just genuinely unlike anything else. What's been really funny is I've been looking back over the last, like... as I've been doing these, I'll pull up the My Anime List page to sort of remind myself what the show is, like, read reviews to see, like, oh, what was this show about again? It's been really funny to see people, because as we get to the end of the decade, say, like, oh, anime just sucks nowadays. There wasn't like it was back in 2014, and you're like, wow, these people really do exist in every single age.
Yeah. So, you talked about the Mal thing, though. And I mean, we've discussed this before. I've said to you that I think on your average Mal scores have gone down. Season on season. Yes, there are some shows at the very top that have incredible scores, but... I think it's much more common to see stuff in the 5 and 4 ranges for scores now. Yeah. Which you never used to see something that was actually no shit airing have a 4 range type score. Yeah. And now Yeah. So long-term users do seem to have become less accepting as they've aged. Yes. I don't know. My average score has always been on the low end for the Mal user base, but...
that's Land of the Lustrous, but I brought that up because to say, like, if you think that and you haven't seen just the level of originality as much as anything of Land of the Lustrous, like, I don't know what to say for you. Like, this show's crazy. Anyway.
There's other stuff that did air this season.
Arguably more popular as well. I think this first one might be.
The Ancient Max's Bride is, considering the stuff that aired this season, I don't know. It may be one of the ones that had the most attention.
Yeah, a lot of reach in this one.
And a lot of people were like, oh, who spoke that as being like, oh, this is a really good show in a, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Critic circles.
Yes. I didn't watch it. I don't know.
You didn't even see the, like, OVAs?
The OVAs were good. But this isn't the OVA.
Yeah. This is the one about miserable girl who can see spirits, kind of like Natsume from Natsume Eugene show. And she's like, gets disowned from all her families.
She sells herself into slavery. She seems to attract bad luck, too. And so she's an orphan or something, and she's been passed around relatives, and they're creeped out by her, and they treat her badly. So by the time that the show's starting, she's just like, I'm miserable, and there's no reason for me to exist, and there's nothing I'm ever going to be able to do, so... When someone comes along, it's like, you could sell yourself. It's like, well, what else am I going to do?
I'll be of value to someone, I guess. And then this big creepy skull man comes along and buys her and says, you're going to be my bride, and then takes her to Cambridge, UK. And then they live a very peaceful, vaguely like mysterious...
Well, it's kind of slice of life-ish.
Yeah.
Magical realism, maybe? Well,
I think more just magic. Yeah.
It's kind of a low-level fairy tale when you get down to it. Because they have magic, but the stuff that goes on is not generally hyper-dramatic. Yeah. I liked the OVAs. The show's fine. It's just not my kind of show.
I'm too fundamentally... I can't get over the part where... where they're presenting this guy as buying a child bride as being a positive relationship. I cannot get over that. Fundamentally, that breaks the show for me. And I watched a couple of episodes because it's like, it's really well animated. It's got a very good visual style that kind of comes from the manga. And, there was...
I think when it cuts down to it, this style of story, this type of... The Girl from the Other Side is a much better story.
I absolutely agree. Although I only saw the OVA, but
I think it's because it doesn't have the questionable overtones going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sick of the slavery apologia in anime, and I don't think that this show is going that far, because the show clearly is positioning as, well, she thinks this is the only thing that's worth doing anymore, but now we're going to watch her become a happy and healthy individual. Mm-hmm. But it's still like, whatever. I don't know.
There was definitely a lot of people. There were a lot of people who were very horny for Skull Daddy in this show. Oh God, yeah, they were. I don't really get that, but whatever. You do you.
Yeah, you do bones.
They bring a whole new meaning to the term boning.
Thank you. That was When did Undertale come out? Were people already wanting?
Oh, that was I think that's like 2014-ish.
See, so people already were wanting to get freaky with skeletons. Anyway, so there were some other things that aired this season that did decently to well. I think MMO Junkie, which that was, I think, a surprise hit. This was a 10-episode series involving a woman who quits her horrible corporate job, and all of her colleagues are like, oh, good luck in your new thing. And then she goes home and she's like, haha, fuck everyone. I'm going to play MMORPGs all day.
Yeah.
And that's the premise. And she ends up meeting people. She picks a male character, avatar, and she ends up meeting people in the game. And one of them is this very cute girl who then turns out to be a male office worker, and
they kind of hit it off.
Yes, and so one of the problems that arose is that toward the end of the show, it came out that the director was an anti-Semite and a Holocaust denier.
Oh, yes.
Which doesn't surface at all in the show. However, it does rather dampen one's enthusiasm. And I thought that was a drag because I had enjoyed the show decently. Yeah. There's some aspects of it that I didn't like as much. Like, there is a guy who's friends with the lead dude who is very pushy. Mm-hmm. And his pushiness is part of what enables the leads to link up in real life. But he's really overbearing, and he's not good at people be like, very clearly don't want to talk to him, and he just doesn't register it, or he doesn't care. So I didn't like that aspect so much, but, you know, there aren't that many shows focused around adult women, period. So, the director.
Oh, well. Well, it's like, why are you a Holocaust denier? Oh, well, you know, just because.
Oh, that was bad. Just because was from a new studio, Pine something?
Pine Jam.
Yes, thank you. From Pine Jam. This is a new studio. This is one of those, you know, if it had aired 5 years earlier, we probably would have called it Kiosk. Although it's not nearly as dramatic as that. No one's dying. It's about a cluster of teens who are on the verge of going off into the greater world. They're high school students, and they're working on their entrance exams and coming up on the end of the school year.
One of those shows.
And they are having crushes and such.
Yeah.
This is actually, I think this was a very good example of that type of show. I don't watch a lot of these because most of them bore me senseless.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy this. The characters are pretty good. One of the things at the time that it aired that was noted was how, in terms of the visual direction, there was a lot of focus on character facial expressions and body language. It also did mean, though, that Pine Jam kind of bit off too much. As the show proceeded, it started looking rather rougher because it was still trying to do this very detailed approach that it didn't quite have the chops to pull off. This is when I'm sure when they went back and fixed things for the Blu-ray, it looked great. But I enjoyed it. It's fine. Well, no, I thought it was good. I won't just say it's fine. It was good. if you're into that kind of show, this is probably right up your alley.
Mm-hmm.
There is also Girls' Last Tour.
Yes.
So just because a lot of it takes place in cold weather. So, Girls' Last Tour is a good next one since there is a fair bit of snow in that.
This is the, if you've seen the pictures, you'll recognize the pictures straight away because it's the one of these two very blobby character design girls driving around in a half-track military vehicle, basically, in a post-apocalyptic world. And it's very basically implied that there was a big war and everything went to shit. And now they're just driving around all these just like collapsed steel cityscapes and just kind of hanging out and trying to find supplies. And it sounds dreary, and because the visual style is very dreary and the world they're in is very dreary, you think it would be, but actually it's more like we're just kind of hanging out and being goofy together.
Yeah. And they run across people from time to time. Some of those episodes work better than others.
Yeah.
Actually, I can't help but mention that Kino's journey, The Beautiful World, aired this season because...
It's quite similar.
And even though I did not actually end up liking Girls' Last Tour that much on the whole, I think it's safe to say it was better executed than the other one.
Yes. I actually did like Girls' Last Tour quite a lot.
I liked moments of it. But I felt like some of it was a bit too simplistic. Like, I remember there's a conversation that takes place between the two leads where it's... The upshot of it is like, war is bad.
I liked that scene.
I did not, because it was so...
It was just like, I guess I can't eat it. She goes, because one of them always gets annoyed with the other one, and like the dopey are trying to find food, and she like finds a tank, and she like puts her mouth around it, and then goes, guess you can't eat a tank.
But I felt like the conversation they have was... It thought it was profound, but it was also like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
I can see that, but it also never made a big deal out of any of its points. With like a few rare exceptions, but it was very low key in that regard. Like when they meet the like photographer dude who just leaves. Or then, did you ever get to the episode where they meet the pilot lady?
Yeah, and she's trying to build a plane.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a good episode.
I really liked those episodes.
But I also, oh God, do you remember when they catch the fish?
Oh, and you were so...
That was when I was like, what the? No. What?
We didn't think it was a real fish.
Because it doesn't look like a fish. It looked like a wooden, really cheaply carved wooden carving of a fish.
Toy.
And they're like, oh, a fish. And we were both sitting there like, oh, well, it's fake. No, it was real, which like totally threw me out of the show because it does not look like a fish.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know I ended up dropping it. I got bored.
Yeah. But as we all know, I have the superior taste. So
I don't know about that.
I like the show a lot. Ending is just complete nonsense, and I'd like to not think about it. But I enjoyed the rest. So I enjoyed watching these two just goof off, and I like the what's the word called?
Just the interplay.
Not interplay. The contrasting like goofy two main girls in this just utterly miserable hellscape.
Well, it's a miserable hellscape, but I think you called it understated earlier.
Yes. But like there's episodes where they're like...
There's a lot of snow.
They like come across a giant... They came across like... Well, it's basically a giant robot and accidentally fired its laser and blew up half of the city out of the other side of the town. They're like, whoops! Guess we shouldn't have done that. Then walk off.
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing that like that. I enjoyed this a lot. Also, what's very worth noting is in the opening, the girls dab.
Yes, yes. Which may in fact be the only reason if you know nothing else about it, that's probably what you know.
Yes.
And if we say, oh, the anime blob girls who are dabbing, you'll go, oh, that!
Yeah. It does have a really, really good Nendroid set. Because it comes with the little half-track truck and you can put them in there. That's pretty good.
I mean, it is probably one... When you look at anime where it's like, would this have good Nendroids?
Yes.
I feel like that's one of them. It's sort of like your Tanya one.
Yes.
If someone was going to be a good Nendo, it's Tanya.
Yeah.
But there are also a bunch of sequels that aired this season. Well,
yeah, because we bought up Kino's
sequels and
Journey.
kind of reboots. Because isn't Kino's Journey, wasn't it a...
Yeah.
I don't think it was a sequel.
No, it wasn't. It was like, I think they just picked like some of the best like episodes and voted in. I think they were even voted in, like these were the best episodes, you cover them.
So has the guy paid his taxes yet?
No, that's not this guy.
Oh.
No, you're thinking of the database.
I think I'm assuming because wasn't there like I swear this guy has had because there's like a libertarian thing going on.
I think that's more the theme of the Kino
So
journey.
maybe I just assume because there's a libertarian thing going on, he's probably a dirtbag who doesn't pay his taxes.
The original Kino's journey I actually liked a lot. And I think the libertarian themes, I don't know if they just changed them or maybe I was just less aware. But like I enjoyed that a lot. There's some just really good episodes about... they're very Aesop's Fables, the original Kino's journey. They just tell neat little stories. Very...
But anyway, this one though.
And then this one came out.
CG Sheep.
And, well, the CG Sheep was the last episode, but actually so many people have dropped off. It was almost
Don't
like...
they like explode?
Anyway,
Anyway,
he shoots them all.
You have feelings about it. He's not a he.
Oh, yeah, she. I forgot. The show, I don't know what happened in the interim, but it was almost like the show just got stupid. And I know you never liked Kino's journey, so you're not...
I never watched it.
Oh.
I have no feelings about it.
Oh, for some reason...
I've just never been in...
Yeah.
Kino's journey, it was one of those shows, because remember, folks... It used to be you couldn't just stream shit. And even at a point, like, torrenting stuff took a long time.
Yes.
And you had to pick and choose. You couldn't just do everything. Especially if you were like me, 14, 15 years old.
And the original Kino journey came out 2003.
I remember this. It was one that people talked about a lot. And I tend to think of Kino's journey in the same... breath as actually Last Exile and Some Days Dreamers, because they were shows that people were, they were well regarded, and but they weren't huge hits for the most part, but they were things that people would often recommend as like, oh, this is a good show. It's meaningful on some level, but you had to buy the DVDs. It's not like you could just... Again, you had to pick and choose.
Yeah.
It's not like now, my God. It's just...
It's so
anime
easy.
is so much easier to access. And it was one that, yes, I was interested in at the time, but I was a teenager.
Oh, okay.
There was a limit to my pocket money. This one, it came out, and I was in the process of buying Cardcaptor Sakura when this came out in the US. And Cardcaptor Sakura was originally released, I think, on 18 volumes.
Wow.
And they came out, like, once every 3 months. So, I was like 12 or 13 when I first started collecting that. I did not have much money. I had a little bit of pocket money, and that was it. And most of that was supposed to be for my school lunches.
Yes. And there was no anime club for you to go to watch Kino's journey in?
No, not when I was in middle school.
Yes.
And also, too, anime clubs back then were very reliant on whatever free DVDs were being sent out by the companies. Which, I'm sure Kino's Journey was on one of those at some point. But anyway, my point is, it was such a different world. It's not that I wasn't interested. It's just that there was other stuff I wanted to watch first, so I never got to it.
Yeah.
The only reason I ever saw Last Exile was there was a huge sale. And I got it very inexpensively.
That was your little memory lane back to the previous decade in our retrospective of the current decade.
Well...
Or whatever. I like that little story. But yeah, Kino's Journey, just something broke. And I know there are people who liked it and were just like completely baffled that other people didn't. And it was like, anime fans just nowadays just don't understand what makes a good anime anymore.
God, you've managed to... insult people who say that everything sucks now.
Yeah.
And also people who say that there is good stuff, but everyone's too stupid to realize it.
I think, but what was annoying me about those people was they were like, oh, these just stupid anime fans out don't understand a good anime. When actually a lot of the criticism were coming from people who liked the original Kino's Journey a lot. And they came to this one and went like, oh no, what happened?
Oh God, and new anime fans came to this because people were like, oh, Kino's Journey, this was really good. And it's like, oh, okay, this is an accessible way for me to finally get to it. And then it was like, wait, what? Why did anyone make a fuss over this?
Exactly,
This is absolute crap.
Yeah.
There was, other sequels, there was Blood Blockade, Battlefront, and Beyond, which you watched and enjoyed.
Really, really enjoyed, actually. Which I was very worried before it came out because... So I liked the first Blood Blockade, but as we talked about when it came out, the story was crap. Despite having great visuals and great episodes and like a great tone, great characters, story was garbage. And this season did not have the director, Rie Matsumoto, who is, when you talk about things like the visuals, the style, and the tone, like, you think without Rie Matsumoto it's going to collapse. It's like the best thing about the show. You're just left with a bad story. But I don't remember who they brought on. They brought someone else on who just copied Rie Matsumoto's story, Rie Matsumoto's style, and then just did away with the story and had just episodic things. And was way better. I really, really enjoyed this. But yeah, that was Blood Blockade.
Is it Yasuhiro Naito?
Yes.
He's not actually good at stories.
No.
Sustained narrative does not really work in his stuff.
But he is good at all those other things.
Yes, he is good at episodic stuff. I think he's also good at, he's the sort of person that's good at, like, quick snapshot type. Okay, here's a story, it's short, here are 2 characters. Alright. He's good at just plopping people down and rendering them, 3-dimensional beings very quickly.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, he gets into trouble when he actually thinks he can do a narrative sustained.
I think the first season it was him working together with...
It was.
With Rie Matsumoto. And Matsumoto has, similar, like, from a different style, like, I think Naito is just straight up bad, whereas Matsumoto has like good stories told terribly. Like that's a controversial opinion because people love Kyosugiga. I think it's.
I loved Kyosugiga.
I think there's a great story there, just told terribly.
But see. Actually, I said the thing about Naito can give you characters quickly and sketched very rapidly who are engaging, but the anime only characters in the first season weren't really that engaging. Other than, as I always say, the fun of watching Kuhirie argue with herself.
Yeah.
They weren't that interesting compared to the rest of the cast, especially.
Yeah.
But, oh god, there's also Osamatsu-san too.
Oh dear.
Speaking of, I mean, we're talking about a good sequel. This is not a good sequel. I didn't watch it.
I was a big, like, personally, I was a huge fan of the first season of Osamatsu.
So were a lot of people.
Yeah. As we talked at the time, like one of the biggest sellers of the decade. Like, maybe the biggest in TV shows? I think somewhat.
It was selling about the same as Love Live Sunshine.
Yes.
Which also had a sequel this season, but I'll get to that.
It was, but something broke, and I think what broke was once it ran out of original things to do, you realize all the characters were terrible people and you never wanted to see them again. It felt mean. Like mean and vindictive and
This is also one of those shows where you had a complete collapse in sales.
Yeah.
If the first season was a shock seller, the second season, my god. I mean, they went from like the 50,000 range on discs to like under 10,000.
Yeah.
Well under.
I guess they thought it could be like, we could keep making Osamatsu-san. And they made second season. It's like, we cannot keep making Osamatsu-san.
Yeah. One trick ponies.
Yeah.
Well.
But Love Live, you mentioned.
Yeah, Love Live Sunshine second season. I have mixed feelings about it because in some ways it's weaker than the first season. Like, there are a couple of episodes that I think were a complete waste of time. And I don't know why they were wasting their time with them. However, it also had the guts to do things that the original Love Live would have never even dared. Which is to say, spoiler alert, the central struggle of the show that it's all about, which is saving their school. They don't save the school. They win the big competition, but they don't save the school. The school gets shut down, which is inevitable when you are a fairly rural school and most people are going to the nearest large town to go to school, And there's definitely a sense of, no one comes right out and says it, but you do have that sense of, the Japanese population contracting. There's no, whereas in the original Love Live, they're in Tokyo. So theoretically, your potential student body pool is endless. They're a rural school that has nothing special about it. There's no reason it will stay open. And I appreciate that the show was actually willing to say, yeah, you're right. This school isn't going to stay open. It can't make money. It's going to close. And that's something, so the characters have to contend with that. And, on the whole, that's, Sunshine's better than the original Love Live because the characters actually do have to deal with failure. Whereas arguably in the original, they really don't.
No.
It looks like they do it sometimes, but they really don't. And it's actually, they have an episode, the final episode there, the school's closing up and it's people, the student body walking around the school and everything. And yes, it's somewhat contrived, but I was like, oh, this actually does feel kind of sad. And yeah. So on the whole, I did like the second season, even if there were times when I was like, do we really have to have an entire episode about adopting a dog that isn't actually yours? And then having to deal with the fact that it isn't yours. Yeah, I hated that episode. It was so stupid. Oh, God, what else? Oh, March Comes in Like a Lion, second season, but we discussed the second season.
Yeah, we did that. We'll just add...
It's still good.
It's incredible.
It's good. Watch it.
Very, very good. Anyway...
Then there's...
Oh, so then we basically got all the rest of the stuff.
Well, since we were talking about sequels anyway, can I bring up Idolmaster Side M?
Oh, yes, we're
this is a spin-off of the Idolmaster franchise, but hey, guess what, folks? This time, the idols are boys.
Oh, no!
No, I think it was supposed to be like, Kya!
Oh, sorry.
Kya! Or something. God, I watched an episode of this. I know there are folks who really think well of this series. I was born. I was born
to make history.
I was so bored. I hated the cast. I also found it frustrating from the standpoint of if the Idolmaster adaptations to this point, the producer is an important figure within it. And, it's all about being in this, I'm in this group and we're part of this industry. Side M, the guys are introduced as we're independent, we're rebellious, we're doing this because we want to make something different. And I was irritated by the different ways in which the male cast was presented versus the female cast of the other ones. I think, quite frankly, it was sexist.
Okay.
And again, though, the characters, they're obnoxious. So I stopped watching it.
Okay.
It sold well, but...
Speaking of sequels, though...
Wait.
This one wasn't really...
Oh, yeah.
You know the one I'm going to say.
UQ Holder.
So, little story about moi over here is that how I got into anime was as a young teenager...
this is such a unique origin story.
I know, which is to say it's not unique at all. I was a horny teenage boy and a friend said, I bought this manga with naked ladies in it. And I was like... Oh shit, son, give me some of that hot shit. And it was Love Hina. And then a year or two later...
I feel like that's indicative of your age.
Yes, I was 14, I think. And then a few, 2 years later...
I meant your age now.
Oh yes.
This wouldn't be an origin story for someone who turned 20 this year.
I remember someone made fun of me when I was like, list your anime waifus. And I was like, I'd pick Horo and Cheryl from Across Frontier and I don't know, Senju Gahara. And someone said wow, that sure is the list of someone who got into anime in the late 2000s. It's oh, shut up. But
I'm contemplating who I would list.
Who's your anime?
Oh. Are these male and female waifus?
Oh, it was like husbandos. Well, Oikawa and...
That's you. Oh, whatever. I don't think people are that interested.
And that's it. We're going to look out for the few... yeah, so... and then a few years later, I saw Love Hina, and then that said, oh, I like this anime shit. Let me watch more of this. And then, like, here I am.
You watch Ichigo 100%.
No, I read the manga. I've never actually seen the anime. But yes, and then... and then I read Negima. I watched Negima, and Negima fucking sucked.
Okay.
By the same author.
So Negima had 2 different adaptations, and I remember when the second one came out because wasn't it Shaft?
Yes.
And people were like, "Oh, finally a good Negima adaptation."
And it had nothing to do with what the manga was like.
Oh yeah, it was completely like it had the same characters in the same setting, but it was very much focused on the humor.
Yes.
The original Negima, wasn't it by... Was it Dean?
Oh, it might have been JC Staff. Or Zebek.
Oh, you know...
I think it was Zebek.
I think it's Zebek.
Anyway, it was bad, but like, Negima is not very good. The story about Negima, though, is always that, like, he originally did, like, ooh, it's a harem story, and then, like...
But he just wanted to do a battle manga.
So he changed it. It gradually morphed into a shonen battle manga. And then he was like... Then he's this UQ holder, which is, like, very loosely, like, really, really loosely connected to Negima. But in UQ holder, it was like, it's a shonen battle manga from the start.
Yeah.
And I was like, Ken Nakamatsu, okay, you led me by the hand into the world of anime. Let us see what this new thing is. And then the anime comes out, and it is the most piece of unrepentant garbage.
And it's worth pointing out, so I've actually read a decent chunk of the UQ Holder manga, and yes, the UQ Holder manga is, for much of its, it takes a while before he threw up his hands like, fine, you want Negima, let's do more Negima. Whereas the anime adaptation just smacks you with it repeatedly from the get-go.
It's like, and I, the grandson of Negima, this guy, here's a picture of him. And
yeah, whereas in the first chapter of you realize it as you're reading the manga, but it's very much you see he visits his parents' grave at some point.
Yeah. They even call it, like, Negima Season 2 at some point, and you're like, oh. And then you watch it, and then not only that, it's, like, one of the worst. It's, like, so little effort put into making... You know when you watch ending songs, and then they have running animations, and then everyone's got their own unique running animation?
Yeah.
Like, think about, like, Haikyuu, for example. Yeah. And those are kind of signs of like, oh, you've really put thought into how this person would look as they run.
Yeah.
This one is like, now imagine the complete opposite of that, where everyone has the exact same run with their mouth wide open going, I'm going to eat flies, while looking vaguely happy. And it's like, it shows just how, or another good example actually is, the Torador opening where they all have their own walk.
Yes.
Yes. Like, that's a good example of like something where they put effort into the walking animation, and for the OP is where they have the most time. And the OP, I know I'm talking about...
the point is...
It sucked.
It's lazy.
It's lazy, it's boring, it's terrible.
And my take on Akamatsu is I have really tried to read this guy's stuff because I appreciate the degree to which he has encouraged the industry to embrace new forms of distribution.
Yes.
And he has been a big pusher of that for a while.
He's a good voice to have in the industry.
He's a
very smart man.
But I don't like any of his stuff.
Yeah.
The early going of UQ Holder's fine, but then it becomes Negima.
Yeah.
And there's just... I am not interested in watching 12-year-old girls get their clothing blown off for no goddamn reason.
It's written for 12-year-old boys. Fundamentally, all of his stuff is written for 12-year-old boys. Even Love Hina, really, is written for 12.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say of Love Hina, at least most of the cast in that point is adult.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm a little suspicious of, even if it is targeted at a younger audience, I'm suspicious of creators who keep drawing at naked little girls.
Oh, yeah.
I find that weird.
Yes. You're not going to find any disagreement from me there.
There's a bunch of other stuff to still talk about. Zodiac War, I only bring this up because people are really looking forward to this. It's Nisio Sin was involved with it, And it was like, we have 12 families, and they have 12 people in them who will participate in this Zodiac war, and the families are the Zodiac things, and this is it. This is pretty, like, mindless hack and slash type stuff. I suppose if you're into torture porn, it would be up your alley, but I think it also tried to... I saw the first episode.
So did I.
Which isn't bad. It's not bad. But this show also thinks it's doing character drama, and it's really not good at it at all.
Do you remember the bunny boy?
Yeah. Oh, God. The fuck. So there is... One of the characters is a bunny boy, and he's wearing...
Hot pants.
And fishnets. And he's also a complete psychopath, because of course he is.
He's a bunny tail that is about 1 meter diameter.
That's about 3 feet for my fellow Americans out there.
He's got black eyes and bunny ears.
Yeah, this thing was garbage.
Yeah. And
people were really looking forward to it, and were pretty let down by it being garbage, even though it looked like garbage from the outset.
Yeah.
Oh, man. There's also... I'm gonna disarray... Other things that there were people like, no, guys, this is like this really deep and meaningful visual novel, and you gotta watch it, and, the prologue alone was like 45,000 words, and it's just like, you gotta check this shit out, but it also is full of Nazis. Yeah.
And this is 2017, so this is when we've come to realization of like, oh, we didn't really make it clear the Nazis were really bad.
Yeah, this is as I'm thinking, like, when I was younger, I had this feeling like, guys, like, there's so many World War II video games. Couldn't we do something else? There seems like too many of these, and then realizing as an adult, like, no, actually, we probably should have had about 10 times as many video games involving shooting Nazis in the face as we had, if current drifts and trends are anything to go by.
Yep. Let's remind people Nazis are bad, please. Anyway.
Thank God for Wolfenstein.
Both sides. This is around about the time both sides happened. Late 2017. Wow. Anyway.
But you seem like you've wanted to talk about something.
Oh, no, I was just, I was going to say, because we brought up earlier that, like, was Land of the Lustrous or Ancient Magus' Bride the biggest? I think maybe the biggest anime, in terms of the number of people who have seen it, is actually Black Clover.
Yeah, although Black Clover does have the benefit of it's still airing.
It's like 150 episodes or something.
Yeah.
Crunchyroll push it a lot. Crunchyroll, I think, actually are they've invested in it.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty certain that's the case.
Well, I think it probably would have done decently anyway.
It's
a shonen.
It's a long-running shonen.
It's, it's the younger cousin of things like Bleach and Naruto. I know you think fairly poorly of it.
Yeah, I gave it a try, but the main character is so fundamentally irritating that... And I don't think the design is... one thing I'll say, even about shonens I don't like very much... Like, the design of the characters in the world is usually, like, imaginative and clever. Like, 7 Deadly Sins.
Seraph of the End. 7
Deadly Sins. Naruto.
Yeah.
Bleach. Bleach, yeah.
Now I say that as someone who liked it, but then dropped it. But.
Yeah. Like, they're all got incredible designs, and I just do not think that of Black Clover.
I just remember before it aired, they were showing character designs, and every single female character looked like she was falling out of her clothes. And I was okay.
Whereas Naruto, which they actually let female characters, wide and varied and wearing everything and so on.
I mean, I would argue that it's not like Naruto didn't have issues with treatment of its female cast.
I think I think I've come to respect a lot of what Naruto, like the Hokage's a woman. They let women be...
Yes, and in Boruto, all of the women are housewives.
Oh, yes, you're right.
So,
yeah, you're not right.
I mean, Black Clover has fundamentally just never been something that was targeted at me in the first place.
No, but it has secretly done well with that kind of shonen audience. It is a tons of people watch it.
Yeah.
But you just don't hear about them if you operate in typical anime circles.
Yeah.
Because it's not otaku who are
well,
watching
yeah,
it.
it's one of those shows that a lot of the people who are watching it are people who are probably at most going to watch between 15 and 20 shows.
Yeah.
Who 20 years ago would have been more like, I'm going to watch 5 shows ever.
Yes. This is the people who are watching Fairy Tail, for example.
There's Blend S. I'm assuming you only brought this up so you could say...
Smile!
Don't you remember the rest of it?
Yeah, you've got to say the next one.
I don't remember the rest of it.
Smile! Sweet! Something.
Sister.
Smile, sweet, sister, sadistic.
I haven't seen any of it.
No, neither have I.
It's not my kind of show.
But everyone knows the smile, sweet, sadistic thing.
What I did watch, Code Realize. This is an otome adaptation. It has the lead in it. We've slowly been creeping toward having self-sufficient leads in otome adaptations. Thank God. This girl is definitely toward that. I hope I'm remembering this correctly. It has the lead. It's inspired by Rappaccini's Daughter, if you're familiar at all with that short story. Rappaccini's Daughter is a short story in which Rappaccini is this scientist, mad scientist basically, and his daughter is poisonous. She can't have contact with anybody because he did some experiment on her at some point which has rendered her touch lethal. And that's the case with the lead in this. Her touch is lethal. She is poisonous. There's a thing about she's wearing gloves in the early going because she can't. She's so dangerous as a physical presence. And she ends up getting rescued from what is essentially imprisonment by a hot guy. Because, of course, why not? If you're going to get rescued. And there's one of the big details early on is that she ends up with a bunch of these guys, and I don't remember too much about the plot, but one of them has taken a lot of care to tracking down a dress for her that she can wear. Because her problem is, like, if she comes into contact with things, they rot. So, also her bed, the sheets and everything, it's a special design so she doesn't basically rot through the sheets. And she's very quiet, but she's also capable of actually taking care of herself. So, it's fine. I got bored. Also, the male cast is the primary guy. He was perfectly decent, but a lot of the other guys, it's just like, oh, I guess we have to do this character type again, type deal. But if you like your otome shows and you want one where the heroine is a bit more active, this is a decent bet.
And one thing that we've missed, which was actually quite an interesting anime in a way, was Inuyashiki, which I actually saw a good chunk of.
God, you did?
Yeah, I did. It was in Nighttown. I think Amazon picked this up.
Oh,
it was on
God, it must have been.
Yes. This is the one about the old man who then becomes a weird robot...
An ass kicker.
Robot superhero thing. Like, what happened is, like, he's living a miserable life, and his wife thinks he's a loser, and his kids hate him, and now he's just walking around being a loser. And then he gets hit by a meteorite with aliens, and they go, oh, shit, let's just rebuild him. And
oh shit, let's put him back, but we got his gender wrong.
No, it's not that. They rebuilt him as like an ass-kicking robot. And then he's like, and then there's all these weird scenes of him like going, what the hell is going on? Whoops, accidentally, like, my arm transformed into a minigun kind of thing. Which is an interesting setup, but then they introduced a villain, and then it's by the author of Gantz. Yes.
Oh, yeah. It does seem like the sort of thing.
Yeah, and it is sort of... I lose interest once they get into the actual story. Like, that setup is interesting, and then they get to the story, and it's just...
Yeah, now I remember, I didn't end up watching it because I remember, like, the whole thing with the guy who's the villain who gets introduced. Everything I heard about it was like, oh,
He's bad. It's just the story. Then they set up once they set up that you're like, oh, okay, I'm on board, and then they do this story, and you're like, oh, this is awful. So I lost interest. But another thing that's worth mentioning is there was a lot of CG animation in this, like technically good CG animation, but in the same season that we have Lana the Lustrous, it was kind of a reminder of like, it was because this had a mix of CG and real hand drawn, and it's a reminder of why that doesn't look good even when it's technically good. It just looked awkward. The transitions were weird. It didn't.
I feel like if you're going to use a mix, it has to be times where I've thought, okay, this isn't bad, where you have regular type people encountering otherworldly type things.
Yes.
I think that's an okay choice.
There is one very recent example that combines like 2D and 3D incredibly, but it's too unique to replicate, and that's Promare. Which you just saw. Which I just saw.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about Promare when we get to that season. But yeah, we've got Evil or Live.
Okay, so I saw this. This is one of those Japanese-Chinese joint things, I think it's about. In a world where people who are addicted to video games get sent to re-education camps.
Oh god, yes.
I saw the first episode. I thought it was okay. I know I saw people who watched the whole thing and were like, this is pure schlock, but, I'll admit, in the post-Gamergate era, watching, the gamers get sent to a re-education camp and slapped around, it was like, fuck you. I should probably point out I'm not a gamer, so people might be upset with me for having said that, but, yeah, it's fine. It definitely was on...
What are you talking about? You are a gamer. Have you seen how much Love Live School Idol Festival you played?
Well, in Pokemon, but I don't think that qualifies. But those are the only games I play. It's like, list the games you've played over the past 20 years of your life.
Yes.
And almost all of them are Pokemon.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, there are,
Love Live School Idol Festival.
There's that, and, what's the one I'm trying to think of? There was a good indie one I played a few years back.
A few odd indie games.
Oh, Hatofu Boyfriend, that was good.
Yes.
But I don't generally play video games.
Much to my dismay.
Well, Yeah.
She once sat with me when we played Abzu.
We both love anime.
Yes.
Isn't that good enough?
That is good enough.
Do you know how few people manage to sync up even one hobby?
Yeah.
And we're both still into it, which is nice because let's face it, the shelf life for anime fans is not necessarily lifelong.
It's not the nearly 20 years that you've been in.
Let me think. How old am I? Oh my god, I have been watching for probably 21 years.
Yeah,
You're just a wee young thing
I've been
compared
in for
to me.
13.
Oh, that has been one of the... Because I think you even said early in our marriage that there were times when you were like, ooh, are we going to both keep being into this?
Yes.
And if one of us stops being into it, then what?
Yeah.
What is our marriage based on? If not on anime figures and Crunchyroll subscriptions.
Yeah. If we get divorced, who gets a Crunchyroll subscription? You get it.
I do, because I paid for it the whole time.
Okay.
That's a pretty easy one. I guess... I don't know, are there any of the character codes that we would have difficulty agreeing on?
I would get the computer.
Well, yes, but I do have a laptop.
Oh, true. Pretty old, though, now.
How dare you insult my laptop? My sweetie's doing just fine, and considering I got it for $299 in 2014,
okay,
my baby's doing pretty damn well.
But you said, the figurines.
Looking at them, though, we don't really have that much shared property because we're not necessarily into the same things.
Well, so you're not really you don't want my Fireball figurines because you wouldn't get them anyway.
Well, I wasn't planning on it. I mean, you're not getting my wee little Litwick either. Or none of my Love Lives.
They still haven't brought out the Fireball figure for season 3.
Well, we're going back to Japan, so...
That's Fireball Humorous, which came out this season.
Yes. Oh, yep. We do still have one more show to discuss rather than just gas bagging about our personal lives.
Yeah, Fireball Humors came out. I am the world's biggest fan of Fireball. It is the show with Drossel, the robot girl, who originally looked a bit like Hatsune Miku and then instead looked like something else. And then it's a weird back and forth comedy with her and her weird giant butler called Gigantis, Drossel von Flügel. And they just kind of like bounce off each other and talk about all sorts of weird stuff. I love Fireball. It's made by Disney of all people. It's this weird. Go search out Fireball one day. It's pretty great.
Yes.
It's a short.
So one of the must-haves when we went to Japan last year for Scamp was a Fireball figure. And then it was agonizing over which one, because we did come across a few of them in, wasn't it Nakano Broadway?
We only came across one, and it was hidden at the very bottom behind a thing with kind of like slightly moldy packaging because it was so old.
Oh, I remember it was musty smelling.
Yes.
Yeah, we had to let our air out a bit.
Yeah. But it was like...
Was that Nakano Broadway?
I think so.
I think it was.
Yeah, I was like amazed we found it.
If we were going to find it anywhere, it was there.
Because it was from the 2007 Fireball, the first season. Because I had the one from Fireball Charming.
See, I guess my find, like the I can't believe you found this sort of thing, was finding a Maria Samagami Teru figure from the third season, which was 2008, I think was when it was released. Yeah.
Although Maria Sama was a bigger show than Fireball.
Oh, well, that goes without saying. But,
Yeah.
I'm glad you found your
This
figure.
thing was only 3 episodes long, and they were good, but it was like, that whole thing lasted a grand total of like 6 minutes. I want them to make, maybe 9, I think they were 3-minute long episodes. I want more Fireball, more people, everyone start like enthusiastically tweeting about Fireball, and maybe they'll make more.
Right to Disney?
Right to Disney. Make more Fireball.
Didn't Disney
make a
just
figurine.
Actually, this is the right moment for it, because didn't Disney just come out with a new
Streaming
premium channel that's like...
Have they got Fireball on there?
I don't know, but I know they were putting a lot of content that's like, you can't get this otherwise type stuff. It was stuff that's in the vault, although from what I can gather from what people are tweeting online, as opposed to tweeting offline, it's a lot of garbage. But hey, maybe you could get them to do Fireball.
Yeah, they get some good shit on there. And that was the fall 2017 season.
We ended up talking a lot more than I was expecting.
Yeah, because we went on loads of weird tangents, especially in the sequel section.
Well, that's fine. People find us charming, otherwise they wouldn't listen, right?
I hope so. So for the ending
All
song...
12 and a half of you.
For the ending song, because you can't show you the dab, so that's we're not going to do that. I really want the ending song to Blood Blockade Battlefront Season 2.
God, you're not going to let me have any Love Live?
Then we did the Love Live for the first season.
Oh,